How does someone know what story to write?
I think a lot of times before you write a story, you have to ask yourself, why do I need to be the person to tell it? And a lot of times you have to say, is there anyone else better qualified than me? I think sometimes people think, I can tell every story, I can tell any story. Um, Maybe. I mean, but for me, it's always, what am I qualified to tell? I prefer to tell stories that, you know, have some semblance of truth in my life or someone I know or something I've seen, just because to me they feel a little more personal. I would certainly take a check from HBO to write for Game of Thrones, but I can't quite relate to the fantasy characters and dragons and whatnot in the same way that I can relate to, more real and naturalistic things that happen in my life. And that's not to say that you can't incorporate those things in a fantasy piece or surreal piece or anything like that. But just for me, I tend to gravitate towards the kind of more naturalistic, real to life things, whether it's funny stuff, serious stuff, more experiential based things I've gone through.
What advice do you have for someone who can't finish writing their story? Is that possibly the wrong story for them, or it just hasn't worked itself out yet?
Yeah. I think when you write something, you're always going to hit a roadblock somewhere. I'd be kind of surprised if you made it through smooth sailing without hitting any, kind of roadblock. If you're struggling though, I would maybe say, think about why. Is it because you're not connecting? If you're not caring about the characters, could it be that? Because if you don't care about your characters, the audience definitely won't care about your characters. And so, I've noticed over the years with writing, like I mentioned earlier, there's a couple scripts on my computer that sit unfinished. And a lot of that is because I couldn't figure it out. A lot of times was I lost interest, it stopped being fun to write. And so for me, whenever writing isn't enjoyable anymore, I put it on ice. I pause it. I say I can't do this right now, and maybe a year from now I pick it back up and it's more interesting. Maybe I've lived enough life in that year of time where I'm able to see the characters with new eyes. But a lot of times it could be that the characters are too much for the writer. It could be that the writer doesn't have the experience, or the writer doesn't need to be the person telling that story. Maybe there's a more qualified writer to tell it. I think it could certainly vary. Yeah.
What about caring about your character too much?
Yeah. Caring about your character too much, I think, is essential though. Like, I think if you don't care too much, then maybe you don't care at all. Like, I don't know. I've never quite felt and this is only me speaking, but I've never quite felt like lukewarm or neutral to any of my characters. Like when I write the main character itself, I think I want to go to bat for these characters. I really want to fight for them. I want them to win, even if it's a sad story. I want them to find some sort of catharsis, whether they find it in the film or not. A lot of times I'll leave a film vague and I'll say, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I like to at least, crack the door a little bit. So yeah, I think caring about your characters is super crucial. I would say the only reason to be cautious of caring too much would be if you feel that, you're showing a bias towards that character at the expense of all your other characters. So for instance, if you care so much about your main character that none of the other characters in your film get to challenge that main character, get to grow with that main character, I like to think the main character starts the film and ends the film a different person. Unless, maybe there's something you're going for that they don't do that. But in most films, you want to see some sort of journey for your character. So